to your opponent. Check. So let me write it down. Check. So how would you notate the check? Go ahead. Do you know?
Plus.
A plus, exactly. So check is a plus sign, okay? In your notation. All right. How about if you capture a piece? If you capture the opponent's piece, how would you notate it?
X.
Capture. It's wait. Remember, raise your hand if you know. Okay, Adam, go ahead.
X.
X, and it makes sense, right? You execute someone, right? Terminate, so you put X. All right. Next one. How about if you promote your pawn into another figure? So we call it promotion. So if the pawn reaches the last line, right? You are promoting the pawn. How do you want to write it down? Let's say your pawn is on the B column, which we're gonna learn how to call the columns correctly. But let's say the pawn reached the last line, okay, and it becomes, let's say, a queen. How are you going to notate it? Let's say Kevin.
Minus.
Minus? Not really. No. Adam, you want to try?
You're gonna write the whatever you're gonna change it to.
Let's say it's on the square B8. So what do you want to write?
You're gonna write QB8, I think.
No. Okay, so I'll tell you how it is. So you write B8, and then you put an equal sign, because now a pawn all of a sudden equals to another figure. So B8 equals to queen in this case, right? So that's how you will write down the promotion of the pawn to the queen. Okay, everyone got that? Okay. All right. Next one. This one, many of you should know. What if you castling? And you know what castling is, right? Your king and the rook, they kind of switch places, right? So if you castling on the king's side, how do you notate it? Anyone knows? Anyone? Okay, Adam, go ahead.
Arrow sign.
Arrow sign. No. So what you do is you put, look, 0 dash 0. Okay, that's the notation for castling. Okay,
Kind of like a face.
0 dash 0. Okay. Now, as you probably many of you already know, you can castle on the king side, which is a short castle, or you can castle on the queen side, which is a long castle. So on the queen side, how would you write the castling? How would you notate? Go ahead. No.
0 dash 0 dash 0.
You got it. Yes. So it would be 0 dash 0 dash another 0, just to show that it's a long castling. Okay. So write that down. Okay. Now, here's another situation that happens sometimes in the game. What if your pawn? I'll show you on this board, right? So if, for example, if you have a pawn here already, right, and the black one moves 2 squares up, you know that the white pawn can take this pawn diagonally, right? That's a situation called en passant. Exactly, en passant.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do that. Only if it moves 2 spaces, right? So if it moves 2 squares, the opponent pawn can take that pawn on the way. It's called en passant. In the passing. In English, it's called in the passing. So en passant. Okay. So how do you notate that? En passant. Let me show you. Probably you don't know yet. So I'm gonna put it en passant. And the notation, I'll give you an example. If it happened like we did on the D line and E line, so it goes like this. A D pawn takes, right, the E6 square, okay? and then you put EP. That means that you are saying that it was an en passant move. Okay, so EP. So in other words, it's a regular something. In this case, pawn takes another pawn because you put an X. Remember X right here, capture, and then at the end you put EP so that you know that you made the en passant move. Okay, right? So those are the major notations that we need to remember. Okay. Besides them, we also need to know how the columns are called. Oh, let me put it here. Column. Columns. In chess, there is a term for the columns. Who knows that term? So in other words, you don't say. Let me show you. Right here, this is a column, right?
Yeah.
But people, chess players, don't say, "Oh, I'm moving down that column." How do they say? How they call these columns? Go ahead.
A, B,
No.
C, D.
Oh no, that's letters. That's later. We will talk about that. But how do you? There is another name for the columns. Do you know that name? Okay, Adam, go ahead.
Like B7.
No.
Oh no, squares.
No, squares are where you move. But columns, they call files. Have you heard of files? Okay, so files. So columns are called files. And from now on, going forward, we're gonna call columns files. Okay? So that's the chess language. Everyone got it?
Yes.
Files. Okay?
Files.
What about rows? How do you call rows? Rows. Again, rows are this, they are numbered, right? So for example, if rook goes from here to there, it goes on a row, but chess players and chess people, they don't say row. What is another name for the rows? Anyone knows? Go ahead. Caleb? No, not numbers. No, another name for rows is ranks. Did anyone hear of that? Ranks. Ranks. Okay, so we have either columns we called files or rows called ranks. Okay, so from now on, if you want to tell me something about the chess position, you're going to tell me about the files and you're going to talk to me about ranks. You're not going to mention columns or rows. Got it? Everyone got it? Okay. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit interesting thing about each one of the figure that we have on the board. Okay, let's start with this the most important figure, but the weakest one, king. Right. So let me show it here. Right. So king. Anyone knows how king moves? Okay. Pretty much everyone knows the king moves. Right. It moves one square, only one square per move, right? And it can move in every direction. So tell me, what is the maximum squares that the king can occupy?
Oh wait.
No, in total.
Wait.
What's the maximum that?
3, 4.
Raise your hand if you know the answer.
Oh.
Okay, Owen. 9.
No. Oh.
It's not correct actually.
Oh, I know.
Okay, let's give you a chance, Nathan. 8, you got it. So if you think about it, it's this 3, and this 2. So it makes it 8 squares, okay? So now, how many squares do you think the bishop can occupy? Now, let's talk about bishop. A bishop can go diagonally. So from any place that the bishop is, right? And we have two different bishops. We have white squared bishops and a dark squared bishops, right? Yes. So no matter where the bishop is, how many maximum squares can bishop occupy? Can anyone take a guess? I know it's probably hard to calculate, but can anyone take a guess how many maximum squares? Let's try with you, Joe.
12.
Joe. 12. No, it's a little bit more than that. A little bit more. Does anyone know or anyone wants to guess?
Oh.
Okay, let's try with Daniel.
16.
16. No, it's incorrect.
47.
Okay, let's guess. Let's Noah.
13.
You happen to be correct.
Oh,
Did you know that or you guessed?
knew it.
You knew it? Now, if you think about it, let me move this for a sec. And let's count it, right? So obviously, when the bishop is in the center, it can do the most squares. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, right? Go back. 4, 5, 6, go back. 7, 8, 9, go back. 10, 11, 12, 13. So bishop that stands in the center can cover 13 squares. Do you know why I'm telling you this? Why it's important? Because anytime you put your figures in a position, you want them to control as many squares as possible, right? Because the more squares you control with your figures, the more power you have. That means that your opponent cannot control those squares. So you want to occupy territory. You want to gobble up. You want to eat as much territory as possible away from your opponent.